The NHL Coaching Carousel is a very controversial thing that occurs. So, to explain it in very brief terms, the fact is when you hire a coach for your team in the NHL or any sport, oftentimes you're looking for the best possible option and just people with plenty of experience. And in the NHL, oftentimes, even if a coach just got fired for doing something wrong, they will get rehired to a brand new team almost immediately. And this happens time and time and time again. And oftentimes, a lot of people end up getting upset because they think that there's other younger options, rookie options that could be brought in and bring just as much to a team as some of these veteran coaches. But I'm here to talk about why I think that the coaching carousel in the NHL is not as worrying as some people may first think it is. So, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. If you enjoyed this channel, why not subscribe? I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I can't do that without your guys' help. So, anything that you guys do will be greatly appreciated. I do notice every single comment and all of that stuff. Thank you guys so much for any support. But let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into this. The NHL Coaching Carousel, although at times frustrating, is not as terrible as we may first think. So let's cover this year's carousel. Boston Bruins, they end up firing. How do I want to say this? Okay. I think we're going to do hire and then fire. Obviously, you fire somebody before you hire somebody, but it will make a little bit more sense if we do it backwards. The Boston Bruins end up hiring Jim Montgomery, who I believe is the only coach that's a first-time coach. And I might be wrong on that. I think he might have coached in Dallas for a little bit. I might be wrong there. But they end up firing Bruce Cassidy. Vegas hires Bruce Cassidy, and they fire Pete DeBoer. Dallas Stars hire Pete DeBoer, and they fire Rick Bowness. Winnipeg Jets hire Rick Bowness. And as you can see right there, you have 4 coaches who are fired and immediately hired to a brand new team. And that's what a lot of people end up getting upset about. They think somebody new should be brought in because if you get fired from the same job over and over, it's probably saying that you're not doing something right. You're not doing the right type of things. But let's explain why it occurs, because there's clearly a reason why this occurs time in and time out. And it just wouldn't occur over and over if there wasn't a good reason. So let's go through some of the reasons. First, let's talk about schemes. As we all know, schemes is a way that a team runs offense or defense. You've types of schemes. So you do a certain type of play to match just your entire team around. Some people scheme around having one star player and just a bunch of role players. Other people scheme around having some better players, but overall the entire roster is pretty solid. Some people are very physical play. Some people like fast-paced play. Some people rely on their defense. You get the point. There's a lot of different ways you can scheme a team and set up a playbook, if you want to call it that. And, an old team may fire their coach because either the coach no longer does the scheme that works for the team, and or the team has evolved and went away from it. So, for example, we may see a team that is always physical. They've been physical for many, many years, and they're kind of past the archway where some of the players that they've been with are starting to get old. And now they're drafting, they're bringing in new guys. And these new guys, as we've seen, are getting faster and they're better at scoring and all these things. So a team may realize that and say, well, I don't want to have these guys that are incredible at scoring and fast. I don't want them getting hurt. So you might start to stray away from these physical play, which would then in turn stray away from the coach you have because they've been coaching a physical play for so long that it might not work. But on a different team, the team might be set up perfectly for that particular situation. Maybe that team is a really physical team, but their coach that they currently have coaches in a manner that doesn't work for physical play. Now, you could do that in many different terms. Maybe a team used to be all about scoring offensively, and they end up drafting a really, really good goalie, and some of their top scorers are going past the age, or they don't re-sign with the team, and now the team wants to orientate more towards the defense side of things. So they may fire their coach, and you might look at a different team they might see this opportunity and be like, hey, we have a really, really good offense, and this coach, I think, will raise the pedestal a little bit more for us. So they may rehire a coach because their scheme works with their team. Now, a couple other options here is, different timelines. I think it's really important to look at timelines. For some coaches, the team that they may be on for a long stretch of time may be really good, and now the team's getting old, they're not re-signing the right players, the trades aren't working, and it might be time for a rebuild. And some coaches just aren't built to be on a rebuilding team. They're just not meant for that. Some coaches aren't great at developing young talent. They're better with players that are, pretty good and raising them to the top level instead of guys that are just entering and raising them to pretty good, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. So timelines is a key factor. For some teams, they may feel like they're one piece away from being at that contender level, and getting rid of their coach and hiring a coach who has shown contending ability might be enough to get them to that next level. Sometimes a coach is enough to get you somewhere. Also, another thing is you may see a coach that's really good at one thing, whether that's working with veterans and making them as good as they used to be, working with young guys and raising their level, working with guys that maybe didn't work with certain teams and producing them to a higher level. And the team that has grown may outgrow the system, if you understand what I'm saying. So say you have a coach that's really good at, mid-level talent, guys that have been in the league for like 5 years but never reached their full potential. And this coach trains his team and raises everyone's roof, and now everyone's better, but he can't take those guys from like the all-star level to the top. So you have a ton of all-star guys, but he doesn't know how to coach all-star guys. He knows how to coach people up to that point. And maybe you want to bring in a new coach that has shown that he's really good with star players, and boom, there you go. You insert that guy into this lineup, and you move on from the guy that coached them to that point. Another thing is experience over rookies. And we talk about this a lot with players themselves. You want to bring in veteran guys because they know what they're doing. And although a veteran guy may have been on 7 different teams throughout his career, which often happens a lot, especially in other sports, and you could also go get a rookie. Now, in the scheme of things, a rookie in player spectrum, you're drafting a guy, and you expect to develop him long term. He isn't a big worry because you have the rest of the team. But for coaching, bringing in a rookie can change everything. Bringing in a rookie could destroy a really good team because he doesn't know how to run the team right. The team might not be coached right, and that could be detrimental to the team's success. So for a lot of reasons, a team that is in contention would rather bring in a guy that knows what he's doing and has shown that he can contend than to bring in someone who, doesn't really know enough and has to learn. If you're in contention, you don't want to bring in somebody that has to learn things. If you lose a manager, like you have to fire a manager for whatever reason, or they move on from their position, you don't want to bring in a guy that never has worked for the company and put him at the manager position right away. You want to take somebody that has experience, and maybe they were assistant manager or something like that, and then put them in that position because they know what they're doing so far. Or guys that have been a manager before at a different company or on a different storefront, and you want to put them in that position because experience is really important. It's easier to bring in a guy and teach them a little bit of things than to hand them a whole book and say, you need to learn all of this in 1 year because we're contenders and we need you to help us get to that point. Now, in the same way the player's experience gets brought up, so does a coach. And like I said, bringing in an experienced coach, bringing in a veteran coach also helps players because the players can look up to you. They're not looking at you like, while you have no clue what you're doing, they're like, oh, you've already shown your ability to contend, to win playoff games, to win games in general, so they're going to have more respect for you and be able to learn more and pay attention to what you're actually saying. Now, the final point here is a point that we hear a lot, a common terminology that we hear a lot. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Now, we hear this in a lot of different terms. Maybe people throw something out and you find a great use for it. And that's the same thing here. Some coaches may just not work with the team, with the roster, with the management, with the other coaches. It may just not work out the right way. My cat is going crazy over here. But sometimes new scenery is just enough to get somebody right back on the right foot. Hey, buddy, stop. Sometimes coming to a brand new place and just starting anew is enough for you to kind of realize what's been going wrong and fix it and get back on the right track. And that's kind of one thing that I realized is some of these guys that have been doing it for so long and they know what they've done and they've shown that they can win, just starting anew, even if they struggled the past few years, is enough for them to reboot their career. And I think that's really, really important. And that's a main reason why a lot of times this coaching carousel continues to go. And that's why I think this coaching carousel will continue next year and the year after and so on and so forth. But what are your thoughts on the carousel? And I know for some people this is, again, a controversial topic, but I don't think it's that bad. There's a lot of reasons. And yes, maybe getting fired from the same job a couple times may make you think that they don't deserve the job, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes you change things. Somebody might get fired from a food company because they cook things too spicy. And they might get fired a couple times because they just can't get the ingredients right because they are better in a certain scenario. And now you take them and you move them to a Korean restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and them cooking with spice can make them the best cook in that restaurant. And that's I think that's a good example. Sometimes you might be doing something perfect, just in the wrong situation. So what do you guys think? Tell me what you guys think. If you completely disagree with me, have a conversation with me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. If you agree fully, but maybe you have some other points, bring them forth. I'd really like to hear you guys out. If you enjoy this video, why not like? It does help a lot. It helps with analytics and all that stuff. If you enjoy this channel, you come back on a daily basis because I am getting back in the groove of posting daily NFL, NBA, and NHL. I'd appreciate a subscription. I'm growing at a pretty decent rate already, but I want to take that next step. I bring a lot of information for you guys, and I hope that you enjoy that. So if you guys could just show some of if you do enjoy this channel, just kind of show some love and support back, because it does mean a lot to us smaller creators. So thank you guys for everything you've done so far, and for everything that I hope we continue to do as the years go on. But as always, I hope it taught you something today. Hope it made you smile, hope it made you laugh. That someone's really important to me. Affect someone else's day in a great way, because every single day can be a great day if we all put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.
But something deep inside won't let me